and Teams is telling me I'm supposed to let you know that you're being recorded and transcribed, so don't say anything super naughty. And we will minimize and rock and roll. Okay, so I have got 60 minutes to lay a foundation for Excel 101. And I used to be a middle school educator. I used to teach middle school computers in Wyoming, in Basin. Actually, it was in Meeteetse is where I was a middle school. I was a tech director in 2 different school districts. But so I really like doing this. I teach very off the cuff. I wing it every single time. What I do know is that teaching is no fun if there's no dialogue. So if there isn't questions happening, then it's really boring for both parties involved. So if there is a question that you have, make sure you call it out. I'll probably repeat it into the microphone so that way it gets recorded basically, and then we can rock and roll from there. Any other, I think we've got our why covered, and then the next is just the what. There we go. So let's see, the what, I think we had a basic itinerary inside of that was the one thing I forgot is I didn't print off our itinerary so that our goalposts don't move. Let me see if I can find that really quick. Calendar. Click. That was in here somewhere. Oh yeah, right there. Nailed it. Control C. Let's just put that into a notepad. Boom, boom. Okay, and then we'll kind of reference that as we go. So first and foremost, I have a playground for everyone that brought a digital device. So if you would, I'm going to zoom in on this one. I'm going to take you to the short URL. That is, now no one wants to type in the long URL. This is a document that lives inside of Cybertech Systems Office 365 portal. This will stay open for 14 days if you want to keep playing with it or do whatever. But this short URL right there is, if you go to that, we will end up seeing your super cool name right up there. So we already have one person up there. Kind of cool. So if you want to, you can head to that website in a browser. So just snag that URL, throw it in, and then basically you can actually go through the process of everything that I'm teaching along with. And so I'll give you a hot minute if you want to be able to get logged into that and rock and roll. If not, if you want to just kind of watch and hang out, no big deal too. I do believe this will also work on a phone, but you'll have to have the Excel app downloaded. I'll give you a hot minute for that, and then we will rock and roll. Oh yeah, we got some more peeps hanging, coming in. That's fun. While all of that is happening, I will give my dog and pony show really quick. Cybertech Systems started in 17. We didn't start operating until 2020. You guys have already heard this story, so whatever. Our major business that we do is managed IT. So we're basically an IT support desk for hire. And then we also do a bunch of what we call OT, or operational technology. So we do surveillance, we do door access, we do voice over IP phones, and we do a little bit of marketing. So like websites, if anybody's needing a website, make sure you reach out. Luckily, I'm not the person that's going to build it because you don't want me to. But we've got some really handy folks on the on website creation. So sorry, I moved off of that URL. Need that one more time. tinyurl.com/chamber Excel 101. And that will take you to this document. Sweet. We got 3. Holy cow, we got all kinds of people in here. Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go around the room. I think we only got one person remote, so that'll work easy. Have you ever done this sound off counting with your kids? Oh, Miss Tammy, I might mute you here. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Got her. Okay. So I'm going to be 0. Nailed it. So you guys click on your sheet down in the bottom, and then that's going to be your playground. They are all the same. So 0 to 20, they're all the exact same sheet. And what we're going to end up doing is we're just kind of play through the basics of Excel using all the same numbers, so we can all kind of do it together. Make sense? And then Miss Tammy, if you're listening, if you wanted to be any of those, honestly, but if you wanted to go jump into like maybe sheet number 10 there at the bottom, then that can be yours, and we'll just rock and roll. That way, everyone you're all using your own individual sheet. You can click on that. No one else is going to mess with your numbers, and then we'll be able to go from there. So we are going to start off. I'm going to start on sheet 0. Okay, so a couple things on Excel. There's going to be some tricks of the trade. There's going to be some handy tips and tricks that I know. There's probably going to be stuff that you know. I want to just kind of, again, create a dialogue on here. So a lot of folks I find don't know that Excel is pretty darn intuitive, and it will create some numbers and patterns for you. So is everybody on their sheet? We all good to go? Any questions there? Good to go? Okay, awesome. So if you want to take a look, sometimes usually where I like to start off with is just, I want you to get out of your frame of mind. Oftentimes when we're learning Excel, I'm trying to transition you or change you from what I call plug-in chuggers. And this is what, I actually stole this from Bethany. She is a self-described plug-in chugger, where it's like, if I just had 1,000 rows of data and I just had to go put the number 0 in a cell right beside all 1,000 rows, I might as well just start now, because then it'll be 90 minutes. And I'm like, please, you work for a tech company, you got to be efficient. We can't do this. Don't be a plug-in chugger. So my request is that we shift from that mindset of just input in, output out, right? Input output, to using a force multiplier or a lever. And that's essentially what Excel is, okay? So here's an example. If we were going to create a list of months, the old way, the plug and chug way, is I would type in January, then I would type in February. Is anyone timing me? No? Right? Now, Excel is pretty intuitive, especially the newest version. Now, the older versions, if you're on 07 or 12 or 16 or 19 or whatever your number is, it might not have this. That is probably my biggest recommendation of why you would want to use a product like Office 365. Does anybody know the difference, like what I'm talking about, Office 365 versus an installed or a desktop version? Questions? Not sure? Okay, so the installed version would be like 07 or 12 or 16 or 19. Those are ones that you would install on like a Windows, or you would install on a Mac machine, right? And Macs are always a different year than Windows machines. I don't even try to remember it. I don't even care. But the idea is that they would ship a new version of Office, let's say, every about 3 years. And then they would put the year number at the end of it. You'd get to download that, and that version of Microsoft Office gets to live on your machine indefinitely. But you don't ever necessarily get the updates, like the newest logic and the newest smarts and all the new fancy coding. You got to go buy the new one to get that one, right? And that was Microsoft's revenue model for the last 20 years, maybe more. And they have since changed because of how prevalent the subscription models have become. And so the subscription model now is just a far easier way to be able to generate consistent cash flow for a software company. And so what the value proposition that they are saying is you're going to pay anywhere from $8 to $12 to $20 based off of your tier for one user license of Office 365, let's say. Oh, we got some more people here. Oh, I know that one. Hey, Lindsay. So, so ultimately what we're talking about here is if you have the downloaded version of, let's say, Office 2012 or something like that, you might not have the smarts that's built into the newest version that would be like Office 365 Excel. So there's a disparity there. And there are some features in the old one that you don't get with the new one. The other thing that's a really big deal is your worksheet would then be tied to a link or a URL. Basically, it's hosted on a website. It isn't hosted on your website. It's hosted on Microsoft Server somewhere. And then the ability that you get to do when it's an Office 365 Excel worksheet is I get this super cool button up here called Share, right? And so now I can share this puppy, and then I get to choose the share settings. So if I click on the cog here, this worksheet is already shared with anyone and has edit rights, which is very dangerous. Don't do that with anything special, right? But this one's just a throwaway worksheet that we're using as a playground, right? But specifically, if I'm on a really big organization, let's use Avera, for example. Like if Tammy wants to share out a document that has some really sensitive data in it, she's just going to leave it defaulted as people in Avera. They're the only people that get access to this. Or if she wants to even narrow it down more, she can say only people in Avera, or specifically only this person gets to see this worksheet. Now, what that alleviates is the old habit of I made a change to an Excel spreadsheet. Now I'm going to attach that to an email. I'm going to send that off, right? This is how we used to do taxes a long time ago, right? So we'd do our categorizing. We'd send that off to our tax guy. The tax guy would have a question. We'd go, oh, okay. And then there'd be version 2, and then there'd be version 3, and then there'd be version 4. Pretty soon you're pulling your hair out, and now you're trying to sort through emails, and it's just driving you nuts. This way, you grab one link, you send it off, and that document is living. You make a change to it, they see it. It's instantaneous. And that's the beauty of having a document that is attached to a URL so that you can share that back and forth. And there isn't this endless iterations of revisioning. Really, really nice. Okay. Good question. Yes, good question. There is a versioning system built into both Microsoft Office documents as well as Google Docs. And we're going to touch on that here in a little bit. So maybe you're an organization that uses Google Docs and not Office 365. And that's for the customers that we support, it's about 20%. 20% are on kind of another platform, whether it's Google Docs or something to that effect. And the other 80%, mostly corporations, are on Office 365. 100%. There is a versioning system in here. So if you scroll on File and come on down to Version History, you will get to see here's all the version changes that I made from April 6th all the way up until 2 minutes ago. And I can go backwards in time. So think of it almost like a time machine for that document. And so if I made a bunch of changes, 2 days ago, I made a bunch of changes today. I don't like those changes and I don't want to do all the work to reverse course. I'm just going to go wholesale back in time. We're going to go to that point in time for the document where everything was right in the world. Good question. Good question. Yes. Yeah. So if you probably have an installed version of Microsoft Office, and there's the easiest way to find that out if you want to actually know that, you just click on the start, go to programs, and then we're going to search for Office. And that'll work in Windows 10. It'll work on Windows 7, Windows 10, and Windows 11. I don't even have Microsoft Office installed on this. So notice the difference. All of my Office documents live in the cloud, meaning I access them over the network because, if I take a tumble and all of my important data is on this laptop and it's hosed, I don't want to have to think about backing it up. I trust Microsoft's servers and their backup infrastructure and all of that enough to the point where I don't need to back up my data locally on this computer. Now, I'm not that trusting. I have my people actually back up all of our company data on an offsite server, and it's a whole thing. But I don't need Outlook. I don't need Excel. I don't need Word installed on this machine. I just don't. And we see that there are some users that are very hard and fast. They need Outlook installed. For me, it's just kind of a crutch. I don't want to have to need anything. I want to be very flexible, almost like MacGyver is kind of what I'm shooting for. I want to know a lot of different products. But okay, so let's get back to this. I kind of got derailed. I'm already, oh, jeepers creepers, I'm 14 minutes into this, 16 minutes into. Okay, so January, again, going back to the idea, we don't want to be plug and chuggers. We want to have Excel be a force multiplier for us. So January, February, keep going, March, no, okay, tired of this. So if I just simply select 3 of these, it's going to intuitively kind of know what I mean here. Now, see that little dot in the lower right-hand corner of those? Okay, watch this. I'm going to grab that. See how it changes my crosshairs? It changes my little cursor into crosshairs. I'm going to drag that puppy down. See the magic? You guys all with me? Yeah. Isn't that nifty? That feature alone will change your life. Just that one right there. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep going here. One more, right? And now if I want to go back, come back. So it won't undo, basically. I've got to delete it out if I want to. But it will intuitively know some basics. There are some things. It's really good with numbers. It's really good with recognizing numbers and like number patterns. It's not super great on doing, let me give you an example. So we just did months of the year, right? So what if I wanted to do a random list of names? So let's call it Bob, let's call it Sue, let's call it Bill, right? It's not going to just randomly plug names in there. So for instance, what it will do, I'm going to drag this down here, it will repeat that pattern over and over and over again. So specifically in the software world, you call these strings. The word Bob is a string in software. It's just a string of characters is what that is short for. And so, for instance, if I finish out here, and notice I can select here, September, October, right? I don't have to start at the top. I can even start in the middle of it. Just I needed to recognize that here's the pattern that I'm selecting. Now follow the pattern, okay? And so if I just continue the pattern here, I'll put a name beside each one of those. It isn't smart enough to know, oh, you just want to throw random names in there. So again, Excel's great with numbers and great with like basic things. If you put just any old month in anywhere, select it and drag, it'll assume that you're the next month, that's what you want in there. It'll just keep rolling, okay? Here's another great one. Again, with numbers, it's going to recognize patterns. So we can all count by 2s, we can all count by 5s, we can all count by 10s. How about by 13s? We really good with 13s or 17s? Okay, let's do 17. I hate 7s. Okay, so we're going to do that. Click, 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 click. Oh, it made a liar of me. Hold on. What's 17 times 2? Okay, so let's just we're going to count by doubles. See the difference there? So it didn't know, because I had 17s and everything, I hadn't created a precedence or a pattern with it. But now that I selected 17 and 34, it knows, oh, you just need to double the previous number every time. So you grab that little dot, drag it down, it sets the pattern and just rolls. Okay, so that little trick alone will change your life. And that works both up and down in columns. That also works left and right with rows. Okay, those are probably the two verbiages, the two lexicon words that you need to use inside of Excel. So rows are left and right, columns are up and down. Okay, questions on any of that? No? Okay, I want to give you a little bit of time to process. Did you guys play around with that on your sheet a little bit? Okay, good. We're getting some reinforcement there. Oh, are you on an iPad? Yeah. Yep. Right. And so not all of these functionalities are apples to apples between different platforms. Like Mac might slightly be different, or Windows might be slightly different, or iPad. The basic functionality should all be there, but they might look different. And that's just, I wish they could, but so far they haven't been able to figure out how everything is just apples to apples to apples across all of those platforms. Yeah. What network are you connected to? Are you on Wi-Fi? Okay. That one should work plumb fine. I would bet that's an, so maybe close the browser. Yeah, we'd have to do some trial and error on that one. More than likely that's network connectivity if it doesn't load. But you should be able to do this just inside of a regular old browser. So like either Safari, Chrome is my favorite by far. Okay, so here's another one that I'll show you. What if we needed to write out a list of numbers? So if I do 1, 2, now again, Excel isn't super good with strings, so it isn't good. You would think it would be smart enough to go, okay, I've set the pattern. I'm going to grab the little dot. I should see 3, but it doesn't. Just is what it is. Okay. So again, with numbers, it's absolutely fantastic. With strings, it can be hit or miss. If it's a common thing like months, or I don't know, maybe it can do colors. I've never needed to. I've only ever needed to use months, and that's about it. But so that autofill or autocomplete, really, really handy. Okay, let's do, I'm going to do this just to fill it out. And we're going to do some repeating patterns. Okay, let me pull up my list. Search, formulas, blah, blah, blah. The view pane. Oh, the view pane, you guys. I hope you guys are ready for this. Okay, so have you ever opened up an Excel page and it's a mile long, top to bottom, and your headers are at the top? And so you'll scroll. Now, again, just imagine I've got data, 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 data all the way down. And then I'm looking and I'm going, oh, what is that column? What's the name of that dumb thing again? And then you got to scroll up a whole mile to go, what is that column? Oh, yeah, no, okay. And then you're like, oh, what's this? And then you got to go up and down, and you're up and down, you're up and down, right? Drives you nuts. Okay. The solve for that is in the view panel. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're essentially going to freeze, keyword freeze. We're going to freeze the first set of rows so that the hinge point, basically the rollover point, is going to be at a specific row that we tell it to. Okay. So for instance, I've got rows 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I want it to basically, when I hit the scroll up wheel, I want 5 to go up. That makes sense? So watch this. I'm going to hit view. I'm going to go freeze panes. And then there's all kinds of stuff you can do in here, but I'm going to freeze up to row 4. Why did it tell me that? Oh, it just assumed it was 4. Exactly. That's where my cursor's at. So if I would have clicked on 13 or anything into 13, and I go back to freeze panes, freeze up to row 13, right? I'm not going to do that. But notice how there's kind of a black line there now. If I zoom in on this proper, right there, okay? See that? See how there's kind of a black line? Almost like it's a I don't know, it's a demarcation point, if you will. So now if I hit the scroll wheel, see how my headers stay there? Whoa, that's what we're looking for. We need more of that. I like it. Yeah. So that little tip or trick will change your life, right? Because it's absolutely drives you bonkers when you got to scroll up and down, scroll up and down, drives you nuts. Okay, now what if I don't want that anymore? Well, it's going to be to do something and undo should be in the same spot inside. They call the top section a ribbon, if you will. I don't know why they call it. It's probably a good name. I don't know. We'll leave it alone. But then at the bottom of that little deal is unfreeze panes, right? So if I want to take all of that off, now it's back to normal. You rock and roll, right? I believe there is also, I can freeze columns. So for instance, if I select column B, I go to view, and I never do this because I always set my Excel sheets up top to bottom. I don't know why, but I think it's because the scrolly wheel is my friend on a mouse. And so I like going up and down. I don't like going side to side. So anyway, but if you're the opposite, if you're kind of the left hand to my right hand, basically you can freeze columns as well. So you can freeze up to column B or up to column C, and it does the exact same thing. So you can scroll left and right, and it will always keep that farthest most column so it's static. Sound good? Questions on any of that? All right, we're going to keep moving on if nothing else. Got to stick to my itinerary, otherwise it'll be okay.
Cool.
Oh,
Can you
format is
show
table.
us like how to freeze both the column and the row?
Yes.
Because I know it gives
Yep.
the freeze at selection, and I can never get it to work how I want when I'm trying to do that.
You're asking me to have something break while I'm in the middle of presentation, but I will definitely try here. So I'm going to freeze up to row 4, and then I'm going to select inside of column B, and we're going to do view, freeze panes, up to column. Let's do up to column B. Oh, it won't do it in both. I wonder if you got to have the newest, or if you have to do the next column up. Yeah, that's a good call. And again, this is like unfreeze, freeze at selection. So what if I did view, freeze at selection? Look, I'm solving problems in real time. Okay, so did you catch that, Miss Lindsay?
No, could you do it one more time just to make sure?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if I go view, I'm going to unfreeze everything. We'll do it one more time. So imagine column B is where I want it to freeze for left, right. And then row 4 is where I want it to freeze up, down. So more or less, I've got to select that cell where the intersections would meet. And basically it's assuming upper left-hand freeze. So it's going to freeze on the top of 4. Let's just double check here. Maybe hold on. Maybe I got to select Bob. There we go. And then let's go freeze at selection. And see how if I hover over top of it, it gives me little blue kind of demarcation points or divider lines. It's going to show me like where it's going to freeze if I click that button. So it's trying to intuitively tell me where it's going to freeze. So I hit that, and now I've got the demarcation lines in place. So now I can scroll up and down, and then I scroll left and right.
Wonderful.
Now it doesn't
Thank
work
you
perfect.
so much. That will make my life so much easier. I was highlighting all of it, and yeah, so thank you.
Well, and you deal with a ton of spreadsheets, so I'm glad we got something out of that. Okay, so I'm going to unfreeze panes here. Any other questions from the group? No? Has this been helpful so far? I'm burning so much time, but I want you guys to get value out of this. Okay, next up, this one, you guys don't even know. Okay, so we've got some data here. We are going to treat random data as a table. This one, it's going to blow your minds. I hope you're ready for it. So I'm going to basically, what if I wanted so I've got some, I want to treat this as a database. I want to be able to sort for all the Bobs. How am I going to know? Right? Check this out. I'm going to select my data first and foremost. Now notice, this might be a trick, might not. If you have a mouse, I can select data. So I click and drag. Then if I'm handy with my other finger, I can scrolly wheel. My mouse is getting old, so it's not wanting to do it. So I can scrolly wheel, get down to the bottom, and I selected all of my data. That's the data I want to turn into what is called a filter inside of Outlook. Okay, so watch this. I have everything selected with my columns at the top. Okay, so now we're going to go to data, and we are going to come down to, hold on, where's my filter? Oh, I just had this. Where are you? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. Should be data. Oh yeah, I was on the wrong tab. I was on view tab. Data, come on over to this filter piece, okay? And prepare yourselves. Okay, nothing happened, except the top column has these cool little drop-down thingies, okay? Now watch this. So I am really only interested in the rows containing Bob. I'm going to hit this little drop-down arrow, and down here in the bottom, I can unselect everything, and I'm only interested in Bobs. I hit the apply button. Now, normally, if you're just in your own Excel workbook, this isn't going to pop up. This is popping up because you guys also have access to your individual sheets, okay? Now, what this is asking me is, hey, you're doing some crazy filtering stuff. Do you want to just see your filters, or do you want to see everybody's filters? Well, I just want to see mine, okay? So notice it basically hid all of the other rows. And now I get to see only the rows that have Bob in it. Okay. And maybe these numbers actually meant something. Maybe they don't. But on the left-hand side here, see how it doesn't delete the rows? It just squishes them down and hides them. That's all it does. It's your data's not gone. It's not removed. It's not anything. It's just hidden. Okay. That's all it is. Now that's kind of wigging me out a little bit. So we're gonna undo it. So we're gonna click that little box. We're gonna go back to select everything, apply. Oh, phew, it's all there. Okay, we're good. So that was under the data. Now remember, you got to select your whole, basically you're creating your database by selecting it. Then you go to data and you go to filter. And that will change your life straight up. Tax time, trying to just look at transactions from a specific gas station, or maybe you're only looking, you want to see only checks. Oofda, no more scrolling. Okay, we'll actually get into that. I have a template set of transactions I was going to show that off on. But, okay, questions on any of that? Okay, write that one down. That one's the bomb diggity. Last one. Yep. Oh, that's a good question. I think it will. Yep. Let's try this. Let's just in real time. So let's go take all the Bobs, unselect Bob, boom. I'm going to select just those 4. Another way you can do this is I'm just going to copy those. Let's see if it's smart enough to go, I just want the values. Whoop. Ooh, it didn't. Okay. So let's do Control Z, Control P. And I do have those selected. I don't want to print the active sheet. I want to print the current selection. That didn't work either. Good question. I don't know that one. On the active sheet. Okay. So Control P, and then go to active sheet. Oh, it does. Good call. You nailed it. You should come teach this. This is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Then print away, local printer. Bob's your uncle. Must be. Yep. See, learn something new every day, guys. This is awesome. Okay. Any other questions on that? The filter thing changes my life. There is a super cool trick that I thought it's a little off the beaten path. Let me show you. I'm gonna save it. I'm sorry. Nope. We got to stick with the basics. I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna cover that maybe at the end if there's time. Okay. So let's pull up our itinerary. There is formulas. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to my to teach formulas. If you are on your sheet, I would ask you guys to scroll all the way on over. There's going to be column AA. And I have some template data. Now, I actually kind of dumbed this down. I had AI create some just default data basically, but based off of City of Gregory businesses. So I had it go grab the public businesses in City Gregory for names and then just make up the rest of the data. So don't get offended. I don't know, average employees, average daily, average, whatever, all of this is made up. So what we are going to do is we are going to pretend that we are writing a report and we're sitting in Miss Diancy. She's the chamber director. And we're gonna put a sheet together of figuring out where our businesses are at, because if we know where we're at, then we know how we can measure where we want to go, right? So we want to do some measurement around. We want to know what our gross profit is, our net revenue, our net, all the fancy things that you need to know in a business, right? So I'm going to extend mine out and just kind of grab these little columns and make them a little wider. Okay. Now, we're going to do gross revenue right off the bat, okay? And we're going to build on top of the knowledge that we've already made, that little dot, right? Now, in the old plug and chug days of our previous selves, we'd have a calculator. We'd be doing this. No, thank you, Miss Jackson. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to click inside of a cell and we're going to type in a formula that is going to do the calculation for us. Okay. A formula, all this is, it's very, very simple. It always starts with an equal sign. And then at its most basic, at its most fundamental, all you're doing is you're just pointing at two cells, and then you're putting some type of operator between them. It could be plus, it could be minus, it could be times, it could be divide. It's that easy, okay? So gross revenue, how would we calculate that? Which one of these ones, hold on, let me, you guys are business owners. You guys will figure this out. This is easy. Let's say we've got some average foot traffic. We've got some items sold. Let's just say we're only retail. So if the average transaction value, let's call this a month. What is our gross revenue per month using those numbers right there? Ideas. How do we calculate our gross? All right, I'm gonna help you out. We're gonna do gross revenue, okay, is gonna be equal to how many items we sold that month times the average transaction value. It's a rough estimate of gross, right? Okay, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the equal sign. I'm gonna say, okay, so let's stay inside of the Gregory Bakeries row here. The average that's an expensive donut, but they make good stuff. We're gonna hit that. We're gonna hit the times button. Now it's not an X. It's the little star asterisk thing. So it's the number 8 button. Okay. Oh, not that. Star. There we go. Notice how it highlights. So I just clicked on one cell. I hit the little star button. Now I'm going to go times items sold. So again, I'm just clicking on these two cells. And it's going to create the formula for me, right? So it's creating equals AF5 times AE5. Now, AF and AE, notice that's just the the column name, if you will. So that's in the black right above here. Everybody with me? I haven't lost anybody. You're with me? Okay. I'm going to hit the enter button. Hey, cool. It made some cool calculations. Now, again, this program is a force multiplier. This is a lever. We're not plug and chugging. We're not doing that for every single cell down the road. How would we extend that all the way down a column? Autofill. Okay, so we're going to grab that little dot. We're just going to drag, 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 drag. You only need one. It's really good with numbers. It's not really good with strings. Yep. So I can drag a little bit. Oh, yep. Nailed it. That all looks right. Let's keep dragging. Bing, bong, boom. Done. And now Diane looks like a wizard because she calculated gross revenue. So it was, now if I want to go back and just double check, I click on the cell and the formula will be up in the bar up here. Okay, so notice it even highlights it for me. So if I click in the cell and then I come up to the formula bar, see how it highlights the two cells for me? So visually it's trying to go, it's this box times this box. I will do it again. We're going to wipe all that data out. We're going to do it one more time. Don't worry, there's more stuff to calculate.
So where do you get the cheat?
Division is the forward-leaning operator. So how about that? Do you have, you don't. Okay. So your laptop, you know how some laptops have the number pad on them? It's all the little fancy things on the outside row. So your divide, your times, your minus, and your plus. If you've got that 9-pin number on the right-hand side, it's a forward divider, it's a star, it's a minus, it's a plus. I wish I had a take a picture of it. What you got?
What you were just talking about.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So if you see that, it's everything on that 9-pin digit. That's the divide, that's the times, that's the minus, that's the plus. Now you have an integrated one, so it's probably kind of hard to tell on those. But. So it's just kind of one of those things that you learn along the way. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Practice makes perfect. We're going to hit the equal sign because it's a formula. We're going to click the first number, which is average transaction value. We're going to hit a star, which is times. And then we are going to click items sold. We're going to hit the enter button because I want it to calculate. Fantastic. And then I'm going to drag that little dot all the way down. Boom. And it calculated everything. Now, it saw the pattern and it went, oh, you're calculating from these two cells to the left. So I bet you want that same thing for the cell below it, right? Now, how do we know? We'd click on that cell. We'd go click up in the thing, and it's going to visually go, oh, yeah, that looks right. Okay. Dawn of the Rescue, nice. Killing it. That's great. Nope. Yeah, that's, oh yeah. So it does that. No, that's a great, I didn't cover that. Hey, that's really good. Nice job, guys. Hold on. So for instance, if my column is way too short, ooh, it's not doing it. Come on. See how it turns it into number signs? Yeah, good catch on that. It's like it's trying to tell you, hey, there's data here, but it's not wide enough for me to show you anything cool, right? So then you just widen that puppy out. Bob's your uncle.
How do you block it? Change something, then changed it, put the right number in.
Yep.
Thinking about
Okay, so that is a good question. That gets into the, how do I want to say it? Relative versus static numbers. That would be Excel 201. Okay, here's the easiest way to do this. It will intuitively go, if you select something and drag it down to the next column, it will bring the formulas with it. So like for instance, if I do this and then I grab that whole thing and just drag down one, notice how this value didn't change. It automatically rewrote all the formulas and went, oh, you're just moving it down a couple rows. So it'll rewrite the formulas with you. There are some things that will happen in some spreadsheets where you need to say, okay, I'm going to copy some stuff and I want you to stay inside of this. I want you to stay inside of a column, but I want you to move the formulas with me along the rows. And that's probably a next conversation up. That's like a 201. Okay. Good question though. Anybody else?
You can change. Statement error. That 60 needed to be a 40. If you change that 40 there or that 60, it's going to recalculate.
Now you're killing it. Yep.
Spreadsheet. What I do is I clear my content.
That's where you get into trouble. Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So can you clear those?
Nope. So like for instance, if I put a, if I delete this, whoa, that's new. Oh, I deleted the wrong, that's daily foot traffic. Moron. No, you're right. See how it, yeah. So if I change, so what I should have done is I should have done, let's freeze row. So freeze row 4. Let's do view, freeze panes up to 4 there. See how our columns stay with us now? Oh, that's so much better. Because then I would have gone, oh, it's not 60, it's got to be 0, right? So if we change that number to 50, then our formulas automatically do the calculations.
So you just want, if you have to clear it, because you have to enter in new data, you don't want to clear the gross revenue, you just want to clear
Exactly.
their
Yep.
columns.
And here's something that I've picked up. I've been able to kind of study under a lot of different accountants and business managers, and I love seeing how they set up their spreadsheets. One of my favorite things to do is select the data that is like hands off, like to indicate this needs to be a different color. Don't delete anything that's the color, whatever, right? And so one of the things that I will do, let's see, is it in the data? I don't know. They change the buttons every 3 seconds in this stupid thing. So let's do, I'm going to put red. There you go. So that way, visually, you can go, don't delete anything in the red. I can change all these numbers, but I don't get to touch the red numbers. Does that make sense? While we're on the topic of coloring, we are all visual creatures. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. Our brains work better with colors. They work better with pictures, right? And so one of the ways that have you ever colored something or bolded something and you're like, oh, what was the font and what was the size and what was have you ever done that? Where you're just like, I just can't. And then right? So here's the easiest way to go back to or to format quickly a whole bunch of cells. So for instance, maybe I just want everything to go back to the regular cell and I want it to all be formatted the same way that cell is, whatever, AL5, AL8, AL8, okay? I'm gonna come up here to the ribbon. It's underneath the Home tab, and there's this cool little paint. I don't know what you call it. It's just a little paint icon, paintbrush, right? I'm going to click on that. Now notice I have to have a cell selected first, okay? I'm going to hit the Format Painter, and notice how I've got the little dancing ants. It's going, it means that's the source of where your copy is going to come from. Now I'm going to go paint that format onto another cell. So maybe I don't want red anymore. Just not a big fan of it. Boom. And what it did is it took the format of AL8, that guy, And it took its format and it painted on the entire column where I selected it. Questions on any of that? No, there can be data in it. So for instance, maybe this column, I want everything bolded. Now I could highlight it all and go do all the thing, or I could just go, I want it to look just like that cell, right? AK4. Come on up here, hit the little format painter, and then just go on and select, boom, bold it. Just a little kind of nifty trick. That's all it is. Now I'm going to hit the undo button or Control Z, go back, because I only bold things that I have to pay attention to. Okay, so let's do, I want to do something kind of fun. Let's call this our expenses. And I'm just going to make up some numbers. Again, it's really good with patterns. So let's call it, I'm going to do 100. I'm going to do 200. Now we have a pattern. I select those two. I drag down. Whoop. I used to have one. Hold on. I selected something wrong. Let's try that again. Well, making me a liar. To 300. Let's try it now. Delete. Okay, give me a good pattern here. What in the blazes? I'm telling you what, guys, there's always something. Oh, it's a temporary view. Is that what it is? View, focus, sheet view. We take this. If I exit that view, don't keep. Okay, now, oh, I still had the table on the other one. Okay, hold on. 100, 200, 300. Don't make me a liar. Okay, so let's make this. There we go. Okay, oh, I already had expenses in there. Sweet. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Notice, so did everybody catch what happened there? I still had the table set up, doing some funky stuff over here on the left-hand side, and it was hiding columns and rows on this right-hand side. As a presenter, I'm going to do a better job next time of not letting that happen. Okay, but we still have some gaps, right? And we don't want gaps in our numbers. It's kind of like gaps in your teeth. You want to have those puppies all, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to fix all that really quick. I'm going to grab, and it's going to recognize patterns. Oh, that's nice. And then we're just going to randomly 125, maybe we'll go by 25s, 150, boom. Select those, grab and drag, boom, right? So now we know our expenses and we know our gross revenue. Yep. Yep. Like it already, okay, so good question or good thought there. If we want this formatted as currency, so that we can kind of recognize that it's dollars, right now this is just saying, oh, that's just a number. But if I want to select this, come on, I believe it's in home. And there's this cool little currency button. We can just select accounting, and I want that. We do dollars here in North America.
So why did you
because there's going to be a string here, and I don't want it to get confused. Like I have the word expenses in there, but that cell with the word expenses isn't a number. And so you absolutely could. I'm sure it would even handle it well. Let's try it. Yep, handle it just fine. I'm used to old cruddy versions of Excel, and so I'm just particular with the way things, if it doesn't work one way, try it another way. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Okay, so now we've got our gross revenue, we've got our expenses. How do you get net from gross and expenses? Gross minus expenses, right? So we're going to do equal sign, gross minus expenses, enter. We now know how much money we made this month. How cool is that? Okay, we're going to grab that, drag on down, Bada bing. Now notice how I've got some parentheses. What does parentheses mean? Ooh. Right? Okay. So that's a blank set of numbers, but what if Miss Diane, she needs to kind of do she needs to do some presenting to the board members, and the board members, they just can't snag that data off the sheet. They just can't see it. They don't know what the parentheses mean, right? So one of the ways, this will probably be, let me just double check here. I think we've just about hit the sum function, the concat. Guys, we got all kinds of stuff we got to learn. Hold on. There's some really cool things you can do with automatic coloring. It's called conditional formatting. So to have it the box automatically color itself if it's above or below a value. Does that make sense? Because if we lost money, visually, I want alarms and bells and whistles and all kinds of stuff going off so that we can know, like, ooh, that's bad. We got to fix that, right? So what we're going to do, I'm going to go select these numbers, okay? And there is, I'm kind of pulling, oh, I even hit the right thing. So it's on view? No, it's on home. Home, coming over, and there's this cool thing called conditional formatting, okay? We're going to select that. We're going to go, there's all kinds of rules in here, but I'm going to do highlight cell rules. I just want to show this. This might be, we're probably bordering on Excel 2.0, 201 right here, okay? But check this out. So if a number is less than, get this thing out of here. If a number is less than 0, I want you to format that cell just like that. So it's kind of like putting a little bit of logic into it. I hit the done button. Uh-oh. Now your board members can go, what's that? Right? Easy then. And then if any of our, what if it's, I miscalculated a number. So sorry. Your gross revenue was actually 500. Oh, good. Red's gone away. Red bad, white good. Right? Then it's simple. And so you can almost have an Excel spreadsheet be your presentation for you in a sense, where you can kind of pull the numbers out of thin air and kind of rock and roll. I love doing projections this way. So I will set like a number. I'm going to get this out of here. So net revenue is going to be gross revenue times expenses. So sometimes I will set calculations up so that, let's do gross revenue. So what I'll do is I'll say, what is my, say it's net increase, net margin increase. And I will put a cell up here, and let's call it like 0.1 would be 10%, right? So what if I'm going to make just a random thing over here. I'm going to drag these two guys over one. And I'm going to go insert column left. So I selected column AK. I'm going to right click, insert column left. Now notice nothing broke there because it automatically pushed my formulas over. So it doesn't just, it's going to intuitively kind of think for you, if you will. Okay. And so here's my gross number. What would that number be if I rose all my prices? Hold on, let's find a number that's not easy. So let's do by 13%. I just love that number. So I'm going to do up here. I don't think so. I could though, but I don't think I'll have to. So I'm going to do equal sign. I'm going to select this row. And then I'm going to go times. I'm going to go that number. Okay. Now, there's going to be one trick to this. This is Excel 2.0. You're starting to graduate a little bit. Okay. Now, if I grab this little button and I drag it down, watch what's going to happen. It's going to think we're starting at this AM2 column, but notice how there's some funky stuff in there. What I need to tell it is AM2, I want AM2 to stay there. for the end of time. I don't want you to calculate the next row down. So this is the difference between variable and kind of like static numbers. I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of both of these. Okay. What the dollar sign means is I want you to stay there. Don't move left or right. Don't move up or down. And if you take nothing away from this, it's that if you have a key cell, like what I'm using here, like a net margin increase or something else like that, and I want all the other formulas to kind of move with rows or columns. So if I drag up or down or left or right, my one cell that I'm changing numbers with, that never moves. That's the one cell that I'm going to change. So watch this. So now I'm going to hit the enter button. Now I'm going to drag again, and it's going to fix all those numbers. Okay. Now watch this. Drag, 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 drag. Okay. It just did all the formulas. Now it just calculated for me if I increase 13% on all my gross, it would, here's what your gross would be if you increase 13%. Well, what if we do 17%? Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's more better. And then if I had my net revenue based off of this number and not gross revenue, let's call it new gross revenue. I'm starting to lose you guys, but stick with me here. Okay, check this out. I'm going to go here. I'm just going to wipe that formula out, and I'm going to say my net revenue would be equals my new gross revenue minus my expenses. Boom. And let's do something like that. Now I got some conditional formatting. Oh, here's what it is. So this would be 1.17. There we go. So again, to your question, it's a dollar figure right now. If I go back to home, I can format it as percent. And now if I type in 17, right, it's 17% of gross. Maybe I need 117% to be able to start playing with this. So basically 117% of your original gross would be just a 17% increase, right? So if I went, what if I wanted 21%? What if I wanted to increase my prices by 21%? So that would be 121. And we're starting to see where we've got more and more businesses are no longer in the red anymore. So you can do projections this way. You can kind of play around with numbers. So the reason being is that 100% of our original gross value, like for instance, this number was 162, 100% to calculate a new gross revenue, 100% of 162 is 162. So I need to do 100% plus the 21%, if that makes sense. So it's got to be 121% to calculate basically 20. Otherwise, I'm just calculating a quarter or more or less 20% of the original value. So if I have 10 cups and I've got 20% of those, I'm just going to take those 2 cups. That's 20%. If I wanted to do 120% of those 10 cups, it'd be 12 cups. So that gets into like, that's more mathematician stuff than I'm probably already swimming out of my depth a little bit. If Mr. Larkin was here, he would have set us straight, right? But that's that already, just that right there, you guys are already around the curve. That makes sense? So being able to set tables, being able to do conditional formatting, to do the search function, being able to see which transactions, the formulas piece, equals, point at 2 cells, put an operator in between them. You're done. There are way more things that you can do with this. We haven't even, this isn't even a drop in the bucket for what this can do. I promise you. So what will happen from this day going forward is you go, how do I do that one thing? One, you can always come back to this recording that we're going to send this out, and that's going to help jog some memories. But 2, if you've ever had a question on Excel, guaranteed, there's like 8 billion people in the world, and about 3/4 of them are connected to the internet right now. They have also had that same question, guaranteed, bar none. I know you guys are special. Don't get me wrong, but you're not that special to have such a unique question that has never been commented on the internet. Guaranteed. I'll eat my words if you can prove it, but I don't think so. Okay. So if you can adequately type that into Google or adequately type that into AI, it will come up with an answer and it will leave you little breadcrumbs to go, oh, that's how you do it. You just copy paste, throw it in there. It really is that easy. I promise you. I promise you. Adding or subtracting the semicolon.
So like, let's say you have a bunch add.
Yep.
To get to your total.
A bunch to add to get.
Sell.
Oh, sure.
Multiplying.
Yep.
So where the parentheses, do you have to put it in parentheses or do you not?
In old version, so that's a good question. In old versions you did. In new versions you don't.
So it would be equal AA semicolon AL. So that would take AA, AB, AC, AD, all of those.
Okay, so that's a really good question. Let's just go through that really quick. So for instance, and if you guys are getting out of time, totally, but this is a great one to end on. There are pre-built functions that are built into Excel that go past just a regular equation, if you will. Like what we were learning there is equals, and then you just point at two cells, right? But what if you want to add this whole column of cells? Okay, let me show you the quick and easy way. You learned it the way where you had to statically define from this cell to this cell, and that's what you're describing right now. There's a far easier way to do it. Okay, highlight them. Yeah, so you hit equals. Now I'm going to scroll up. I'm just going to go select. We want to know the net revenue of our businesses. Miss Diane's got a report she's got to get out, so we're going to make it happen. So we are going to grab all of those cells, okay? And actually, this probably won't work. Oh, it does. Let me show you. The function we need to use is the sum function, okay? So equals the sum, then parentheses, okay? And this is one of those guaranteed have to know functions. It's sum, absolutely need to, okay? So equals sum parentheses. We're gonna go up and we're gonna go select all of these puppies. And now notice it kind of figures out the formula for us. It's equals sum parentheses AM5 to AM24, AM24. Now I'm gonna close the parentheses, okay? Don't get lost on me here. Stick with me. Now I'm going to hit the enter button. Okay. Now watch this. It's really good with numbers, right? So it's going to intuitively go, oh, maybe it wants to, maybe Miss Diane is, when I drag this little thing over, she wants to know the sum of the expenses of all our bills. Holy cow, that's a lot. Right? Okay. Or we just keep going. Boom. New gross revenue. Boy, that sure works. If we just increase all of our prices by 21%, our businesses would really be rocking and rolling. You can generate some municipal sales tax out of that puppy, and that whole thing's going to work, right? So that's the easiest way, is those built-in functions. And there are a gazillion functions that are built into Excel. Some basic ones. I actually did a quick search on this. Hold on, let me search through. I've got some AI notes. Nope. Yeah, here's some great ones. Average, max, min, sum, absolutely have to. I'm not even going to touch on the count ifs or the sum ifs. And then VLOOKUP, that's Excel 301. Well, don't even think about that one, okay? Don't do it. But average, max, min, and sum will help. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've used the max or the min function. Average I will use, but it's basically average and sum. Everything else doesn't really matter. You can go a long ways using just sum and average.
If you're gonna have to.
That is a good, well, so subtraction, you can't do it in a group. So the best way to do this would be like, for instance, if I went expenses, let's do it. The easiest way is to just do a minus sign and then drag that down. Yep. The sum function is like, oh, you're wanting to add all of these numbers together, great. But there isn't like a subtract function that's like minus these numbers from where, right? It's just hard to, I'm sure there is something to that effect. I've never found it though. Never needed to. Yes. Yep. Let me do one more thing with you here. So like, for instance, I'm going to show you another function that you'll probably never use, but I want to show you how to find out how to use it. Okay. So there's this really cool thing called concatenate. Does anyone know what that word means? No, it's basically just melding two strings together. So it's two words, glue them together. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, I want this cell to be almost like if I look at two numbers and I hit the plus sign and it kind of adds them together, I want to do that with a string. So I'm going to do equals. The function that we would use is called concatenate. I'm going to start typing it out. There's actually a whole bunch that automatically come up here. I'm going to click on the concatenate. And it kind of shows me how to use the whole, it's like it has a user manual built into it. So notice how it kind of hit it in that little square. If I click on that, it's like, oh, you're trying to add two. So this joins several text strings into one text string. So I could do text one, and then notice it even shows me how to use it here. So I could add this plus a space plus this. So like, for instance, if I wanted to add a Bob. So this cell, I'm going to do a comma, and then I'm going to add a Sue, and then I'm going to do another comma, and then I'm going to add a Bill, then I'm going to end the parentheses. Now I got a Bob, Sue, Bill. Right? There's functions for everything. I promise you. Just do a Google search, and you will be good to go. You'll be amazed. It's an endless rabbit hole. But this, again, is one of those, it's a force multiplier. This tool can take big data sets, top to bottom, left to right, and with a little bit of know-how, a little bit of elbow grease, you can go a long ways with this. So any other questions? Hold on, let me see how we did concatenate, we did sum, we didn't get to left and right, but someday, maybe we get to a Excel 2.0, 201, we'll get there. So that's the only thing I didn't get to. Everything else, extending formulas we covered, search function, that's kind of the same thing as format table, view pane, layout. That is what I've got for you. And I'm 12 minutes over. Okay, don't tell on me. Anything else you guys can think of, or good to call it there for the day? Okay, I'm going to let you guys get back to your guys' business. I do have one ask, if you would. Would you guys be willing to leave me a review on our Google page? And it's actually on this Excel document, if you would. So if you're attached to it, you can just click on that link. If you have your phone, the QR code takes you there right in there. The other cool thing, have you guys ever seen these in your individual businesses? So what this is an NFC card that's kind of just like stuck into the plastic. Throw your phone up against that. Ow!
I left it.
Okay. I got it. There's also a do not disturb feature on it. But if you hold your phone up against it, it'll automatically go, oh, hey, this thing's trying to take you to this website. Do you approve? You hit the yes button, and it will take you to the Google My Business page. Should just be able to hold it right against. Now, iPhones, because they're so star-spangled special, you have to turn on the NFC piece on your phone, so it doesn't work by default. All Android phones, it works by default. Yeah. So there's a function. Do you have iPhones? Yeah. So you'll scroll down. I think you pull down from the top and there's like a little NFC slider that you have to turn on. Or if you do a search in your settings for NFC, you'll just kick it on and then it'll allow it to work. But either way, whatever's easy. If you just pull up your camera and then scan that QR code, that'll get you there too. NFC, near field communication. All you iPhone operators crying out loud. Hold on, let me Google it for you. iPhone NFC settings. Open the settings app, then wallet and Apple Pay. Turn on NFC scanning or NFC tag reader. It's pretty amazing how Windows built in Copilot, basically AI, into the browser now. This is one of the ways that we are using to actually hack, so to speak, our customer reviews. So like if you look at a lot of small businesses in rural anywhere, unless your servers or unless your point of sale people or whoever else are asking for, hey, would you review us? You have maybe one, maybe two reviews. And what we do is we take, there's a little link inside of Google My Business that you can plug into emails. You send out an email to everybody with that link and say, hey, would you be willing to review us? If we did a great job, would you just throw it on to Google My Business? And I think, I mean, we're just a tiny little tech company, but I think we've got 30, 40 reviews. Lisa has like a gazillion at the tattoo shop, but it's just like those little baby tweaks that can improve your digital standing, your digital shingle, if you will, that's out on the internet. And that's how more people will experience your business than almost any ever would physically. So it's a great, and it's free. It costs you nothing. So again, if your dumb iPhone is willing to do it, you guys. Really? Okay, hold on. Let's go to the next article. Oh, is there a cool little thing right there? How to use NFC on iPhone. I don't have an iPhone. Is there that icon? So when you pull up from the bottom, is there that little thing? Boom. I can't tell you how much I hate iPhones. But such is life. They hold the majority of the market. Okay, I believe it. I believe you. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of, you basically need to hold it on there. But it's a way. And so that'll take you to our Google My Business. I need to completely redo the Google My Business piece. I need new photos. It's basically a website unto itself. So like the library, you can go claim the library's Google My Business, put all you can basically do a panorama of the inside of the library. So before people would ever step foot through the doors, they'd be able to see what it looks like. And it lowers the barrier of entry for your customers to walk through your door because they already know what it's going to look like. There's no scary changes. Nothing scary to anticipate. The next thing I'm going to be doing is putting a couple videos onto our Google My Business because then they'll already know my face and I will have already greeted them before they even walk through the door. It's just little baby things like that. Listen, you probably got too smart of an iPhone. I don't know. Yeah. Oh no, I was proven wrong. Okay, that's what I will, let's call it a day. Thank you for coming. If there's anything else, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll do this again shortly. Next Tech Tuesday coming up. Great question. Yes. Yep. So there's so 365 is something that you can purchase either as a residential license or as a commercial license. For all of our businesses, we purchase kind of the commercial versions, and they split it out. And there's kind of some considerations to think through that. But if you have like an outlook.com email address or a live email address or a Hotmail email address, you probably already have this for free, just in small little spaces. And so what we're doing right here, you probably already have access to. Yep. Yep. You got to upgrade them. Yeah. You can't get them. That's exactly right. And they've done a decent enough job of at least allowing you to export them, download them, or something to that effect. Basically export them into the newest version. And so you can do like an XLSM and then save it locally, and then you'll be good. But you won't have the piece of software installed on your computer to be able to open it up. So yeah, it's definitely a consideration when you're trying to think through that stuff. Yep. I don't see a future, unless you're really hardcore, I just don't see a future of most companies not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore of some subscription model. I just don't, I don't see a way out of it. Yeah, drives you nuts.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. 100 for a year. So it's going to end up being about that. So the minimum license for a basic is $8 per month per user. And then for the, what do they call it? A standard license is $12.50, $13, somewhere in there. And what that gives you, and this is why most businesses use it, is because it gives you, you are then entitled to download the Office version onto up to 5 computers for that one user account. So then you can download Microsoft Office, the newest star-spangled thing that they came out with, on up to 5 machines. And so one user can license 5. And we do have some locations that try to license all of their computers for Office by sharing out those license accounts. It always bites them in the ass every time. But to each their own. I mean, we live in the center of conservative America, so I shouldn't be surprised that we're, you know, I try to work with everybody that I possibly can, but it will create more havoc down the road. It's kind of one of those, we're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies kind of thing. It'll just create more time sink and hassle down the road than what will show up right off the bat. But yeah, 100%.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Unrelated.
Well, yeah, it is. So
Oh yeah. Well, the other thing too is I can stop. I'll stop this sharing. We can trim the video too. That's no big deal. Ew. There's the recording thing.
It's just over there.
Or record and transcribe. See you guys.